Hey guys, right, so today we're going to be talking about hydration, drinking water, and how important it is. Now, um, something that people don't understand is when you're going into the gym and you're doing weight training, you're doing cardio, all that kind of stuff, you're no longer an ordinary person, right? You're in the gym to get unordinary results. So you should be doing unordinary stuff when it comes to your diet. Okay, I'm not saying, oh well, it needs to be extravagant and extreme to the point where people are in disbelief and all that kind of stuff. But a lot of people, when they hear what I do with my diet and how I eat and what I eat and all that, they're like, that's not normal. That's not normal. But here's the thing. I'm not a normal person because I go in the gym and I train for however long I train. I do, whatever my style of training is. But that's not normal. Cool. So let's come back to the point. Reasons why you need more water. Now, your body is made up of a large percentage of water. Okay. Now, every metabolic process needs water, especially those of you who are a bit more familiar with some of the scientific terms. Protein synthesis. Okay. Now, protein synthesis is the process by which nitrogen from amino acids. So amino acids is when you eat protein, is digested and broken down into the amino acids, which is then used to repair the muscles, right? So protein synthesis is the process by which nitrogen from the amino acids is linearly arranged into structural proteins through the involvement of RNA and various enzymes. Now, protein synthesis is muscle growth, okay? The more efficient you can make this process be is the more efficient you can build muscle, or the more efficiently you can build muscle. Okay, so soda or carbonated drinks, we're talking like the Pepsi and the Coca-Cola, the 7-Up, all that kind of good stuff. And coffee, they don't count. They don't count, In fact, most of these drinks actually have caffeine in them, which increases fluid loss. And when this happens, your body starts to begin to store water. Now, whenever your body thinks that there's a shortage of something, it will start to hoard, okay? Same thing as I'm sure many of you have heard of this starvation mode, and your body just saying, nope, I'm not going to cut anymore. I'm not going to burn any more fat. We're going to hoard it, yeah? As you eat, it's going to hoard. Now, that is true to a certain degree. Your body starts to hoard stuff that it thinks it's going to be in a shortage of, right? Now, where was I? Shortage of, yes. Right, so when you're drinking stuff that basically is like kind of like a diuretic, which makes you lose water, your body will start to harbor water, which is water retention. And that's why sometimes you can, sometimes the scale can fluctuate so hard, it's unbelievable. Sorry, excuse me. And also sodium levels can come into play with that. I will touch on that again later. Now, as I said before, you're training for an unconventional physique, which means that, your diet should be a bit more unconventional. It's not something that everyone should look at and be like, oh yeah, cool, okay, yeah. So a lot of people and a lot of the clients that I talk to, they don't actually get enough water. Simple as. Plain and simple. Now, what I say is normally I would shoot for about half a gallon. Right, which is I would shoot for about 2 liters, right? Or 2.5 liters. That's as a starting. Now, obviously, we don't want to take someone that's been drinking like 6 glasses of water and say, cool, 2.5 liters tomorrow. No. Because that's going to be hard for them to stomach. That's going to be hard for them to fit into their everyday life. So what would be good is saying, look, for the first week, I want you to try and get 500 milliliters. And then the next week it would be a liter, and go up in small steps to the point where they are drinking 2.5 liters. Now 2.5 liters for me would be a bare minimum, right? What would be nice is a gallon, right? Or was it 4.5 liters or something like that? I can't remember the conversion, because I have the big half gallon bottle and I drink 2 of them. Well, no, I personally drink 3 of them a day, but that's because I'm a bigger individual. But we're talking about, you know, a good aim would be half a gallon to a gallon per day, right? But it is dependent on your body size. So someone that's like that would not need a gallon or 2 gallons, whereas someone who's a bit bigger like myself may need more than a gallon, or a gallon might be sufficient. So there we go. But just try and get more water, because again, as I mentioned before, if you're not getting enough water, then some metabolic processes are not going to be working to optimal levels. Example is protein synthesis, right? Now, another thing is the water flushes out toxins and other metabolic waste. You know, especially when you're following like a high protein diet, there's a lot of waste that comes out. Now, that would be through your urea, you know, you're peeing, right? So things such as, not urea, urine. There we go. You're peeing it out, right? So things such as excess nitrogen, urea, which is a toxic substance, and ketones. So the water will help your body remove these toxins from a high protein diet. If you are dehydrated, right, or you weren't getting sufficient water, then these toxins could build up, right? Now another thing would be eating big. You know, these people who are eating many calories, then you would need to have more water and able for your kidneys to do their work to their optimal levels, right? Water also helps to metabolize fat, right? So I can't say it. Water helps to metabolize fat. There we go. Without enough water, the kidneys can't function properly, right? Now, when this happens, some of the load or some of the work is then transferred over to the liver. Now, the liver metabolizes stored fat for energy. Now, if the liver is having to pick up some of the kidney's work, right, then it's going to burn less fat because it won't be able to metabolize the stored fat for energy, because it's having to do the kidney's work, right? It's like, God damn it, why am I having to do this motherfucker's work, right? Now, in addition to all of that, by drinking water, it can actually reduce the feeling of hunger. Now, excuse me, a lot of times when you feel hungry, it's not actually hunger. It could be your body giving you a signal to say, look, drink more water, okay? And what I find, what I tell my clients, and I've heard from the feedback, is I've said to them, whenever you feel hungry, the first thing you do, the very first thing is you go and I want you to drink about 500 milliliters of water. Yeah? I want you to do it. Just drink it. And the feedback that I've got is once they've done that, they actually feel full. They don't feel hungry, you know. Water reduces fluid retention. Now remember what I said. If you're dehydrated, right? If you're drinking high caffeine, right, and you're not replenishing the water, which will then lead you to be dehydrated, then your body will start to harbor, as I said before, it will start to keep and hold on to water, which is water retention. Now, if your body has sufficient water coming in, then it has no need to harbor. It's like, okay, cool. I see this motherfucker drinking enough water, right? It's not going to be productive for me to hold on to the water because there's water coming in. So I'm not going to hold on to this water. I'll let it go. Now, by reducing fluid retention, you can look leaner, right? Now, I say look because you haven't actually lost any kind of body fat. It's you've lost that water weight. Now, water weight can make you look fluffy, right? Can make you look soft, puffy, right? Now, by taking away that water retention, all of a sudden you start to look harder. You start to look a bit more leaner because your muscles are able to show off the contours and the size and the shape and the maybe striations, all this kind of stuff. It's able to show, as opposed to, you know, maybe having some water in being stored in extracellular spaces, like, you know, yeah, so your skin starts to look puffy. Okay, so by drinking more water, it's going to help to reduce the fluid retention. Now, water keeps you regular. Now, too little water and your body will start to steal it from organs such as the colon. Now, when this happens, you're going to experience constipation. The water will allow you to digest your meals efficiently. And this is especially true when you're in a gaining phase, or you're a hard gainer, or you're just eating about, you know, a lot of calories. The water will help you to digest your food, right? And as I mentioned, by having sufficient water, you're not going to be stealing water from other parts of the body that needs to do their job properly. So you can see already that by having sufficient water, you're going to allow the liver and the kidneys to do their job properly. You're going to allow the colon to do their job properly. So actually, dehydration can fuck you up. Simple as. That's why I always talk about the benefits of hydration, the benefits of water, and, you know, the dangers of being dehydrated. Excuse me. Now, water helps individuals who get too much salt, right? Now, this is kind of a touchy subject. I'm going to do another video regarding sodium because my views are very different from the media and from what other people kind of shit that they talk. Excuse me again. However, if the water retention is a chronic problem, it might be because there's too much salt in the diet. Or maybe, you know, when we say too much salt, it's not actually by people adding salt. It could be that there's too much processed items in the food, which has high levels of sodium, which is going to cause the water retention. Now, the higher the sodium intake, the more the body tries to retain water, right? To dilute its concentration. Now, by either reducing the intake of salt, could solve the problem, or by drinking more water, could solve the problem, right? So that's another one. I mean, as I said, I'm going to touch on that on another video because this is already about 13 minutes, so I can make it longer if I talk about that. And the final point that I want to talk about with hydration, and something that is very much overlooked, is water helps your supplements work better. Now, if you take a supplement such as creatine monohydrate, the amount of times I've talked to someone that is taking creatine monohydrate, or let's take that second word out. Let's forget the monohydrate. Let's talk about creatine. So it doesn't matter what creatine you're using, right? I don't care if it's creatine monohydrate, creatine, you know, Crea Pure. I don't give a rat's ass. You're using creatine, right? Now, creatine works by pulling water into the muscle cells, okay? Now, by pulling the water into the muscle cells, it's going to create an anabolic environment needed for growth. Now, in order for this to happen, you need to be drinking enough water. You know, when you take creatine, it allows you to get more reps. It allows you, you know, strength to get bigger. Your muscles will start to look bigger, fuller, rounder. That's because we're pulling water into that muscle, right? Now, if you're not drinking enough water, again, it's not going to let that supplement work to its best ability. Now, again, if you're not drinking enough water, that creatine added with a high protein diet could start to mess about with the kidneys. Excuse me. Right? Now, if you're training hard, then you're going to need, some kind of multivitamin. Or I normally say to actually supplement with other vitamins on top of a multivitamin. Now, a lot of these are water soluble, and the water actually unlocks the power of the vitamin. So, there we go, guys. Excuse me. I'm coming down with something, I'm sure of it. Or coming off something, I don't know. Look, that's the importance of hydration. I talk about hydration to my clients all the time. I talk about hydration to everyone all the time. I myself try to get at least bare minimum half a gallon of water, right? That's bare minimum. I will go through about a gallon and a half throughout a day, right? Water is very, very, very beneficial, very vital for your goals. Be that weight loss, be that muscle gain, I don't care. I've already outlined in this video how water can benefit you regarding those two objectives, right? So drink your goddamn water, all right? Train hard, keep alive, get that dirty pump, and I'll see you on the next one.